Ladies and gentlemen, I'm like a raging bull this morning, ready to be turned loose on several different videos. We've got some crazy NIL stories. It's a total mess. We've got ADs, athletic directors begging fans for donations so they can fund some of these five-star recruits. It is disgusting. But first, a big story. 10 schools have come to an agreement to form a new football-only conference with the stated goal of moving from FCS to FBS at the earliest possible time. And guys, I'm sure we all had the same reaction. Is this South Dakota State? Is this North Dakota State? These are programs that legitimately could have the potential to be top 25, type programs if they made the jump and had sustained success. And then, guys, you do some reading on what this actually is. It's a total money grab. And the only reason any of these lower tier FCS schools want to do this is simply to get the FBS type money and the overall bump up. The remaining football members of the Atlantic Sun and the WAC have agreed to align to form the foundation of a 10-member football-only conference. Sources said the founding documents for the league state the group intends to move from what is currently known as FCS football to what is currently known as FBS football. That doesn't even make sense. At the earliest possible date. The schools are Stephen F. Austin, Abilene Christian, Utah Tech. Guys, Utah Tech seems like a made-up school. I'm sorry. I know they changed their name, but it's like, Jesus. Southern Utah, and there are a few others. Austin Peay. Hey, at least now for Alabama, when you face Austin Peay, they're an FBS school, so you don't have to worry about that. North Alabama, Central Arkansas. The goal is for the conference to start playing in 2024 with 9 members. I would assume they would start at the FCS level and then transition and have to apply to become an FBS conference. But guys, overall, this seems like a relative nothing burger. When it comes to possible FCS schools making the jump to FBS, I think the most intriguing options, especially North Dakota State, their level of success is... could you imagine North Dakota State in the Mountain West? How amazing. The Mountain West needs better teams. Let's bring North Dakota State and South Dakota State into the Mountain West. You really don't have to kick anyone out, but if you need to kick two teams out, kick out Hawaii, make them independent, and then take out a lower tier team as well. And that's what I would do. This just seems like a money grab, and these lower tier FCS schools are intrigued and trying to take advantage of the expansion situation that's happening right now in the NCAA with everyone moving around, all the teams going. You can see they will need to go through a formal process to actually make this happen. The schools have signed a multi-party term sheet agreement to commit to the new league. So this is happening at the FCS level, but the reason they're creating it is with the intent and with the hope to go to FBS. The league hasn't picked a name, but has narrowed the options. In the founding documents, it's referred to as the ASUN WAC football, which won't be the name moving forward. Sources with knowledge of the agreement are optimistic for a pathway. We feel very confident in talking to NCAA officials that they would support this. There's no grounds for them to stand on potentially denying it. So that is the situation with this possible new FBS league. Of course, when you take a look at the Division I teams in college basketball, there's so many more, and it's gotten really to the point with college basketball, they're adding multiple teams to Division I every single year. You have to wonder what's going on with college football with all of these expansion situations happening, with teams changing places, with the American Conference losing 4 teams. They have to pluck 4 other teams from another conference. Now that conference needs teams. Now the conference that gets plucked from, they also need teams, and it's a domino effect. So we're seeing these conferences come together after getting kind of destroyed via the, expansion situation. And they're saying we want to be an FBS member and really make more money that way. These are not teams that I would consider to be competitive. Of course, I will say we did have that James Madison situation, which was certainly interesting there for a little bit. Joining the FBS level, what were they, 5-0, and they got ranked at 25, and people were like, man, they could make a New Year's Six Bowl and they wouldn't even be allowed to go. When in reality, James Madison, they ended up really kind of petering out there towards the end. Actually, did James Madison get banned from a bowl? Or it's not that they're banned, but I would assume, I don't think James Madison, I should know this. I don't think James Madison was allowed to go to a bowl this year, and they certainly have the wins. So that is interesting because it's their first year at the FBS level. So that is that situation. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and oh my God, there are several stories on this, the current NIL situation, and I have no clue. After last year and how much of a train wreck, how unclear the rules were, we're getting an exact repeat. Now it's actually worse, and we're getting Ohio State's AD, Gene Smith, coming out and saying and basically begging people, listen, we need money. We're losing kids left and right. If you don't know, the Ohio State recruiting situation is a total mess. They were kind of in it for 3 5-star defensive pass rushers, and the thought was they were going to at least get 1, maybe 2. They're not getting any of them, and it's all because of NIL. All of these pass rushers, these 5-star pass rushers, will be doing big NIL deals, and Ohio State is not in on it. And you can see a statement here from the Ohio State Foundation, which is a total disaster. It was not done right at all. They launched their NIL fund without the ability to do a subscription-based service. So, number one, I think the idea of an athletic director asking common fans for money so they can pay kids, I think that's ridiculous. That should all be rich boosters. The problem Ohio State is running into, the rich boosters that donate to Ohio State, they don't really care about football as opposed to Miami, schools from the South. They're obsessed with it. They want to win national titles. So they're like, yeah, here's $5 million. Go spend it on 5-stars. The Ohio State rich boosters won't do that. And now you're asking normal people to give you money so you can buy 17-year-old kids? I mean, come on, guys. And then the foundation, which is Ohio State's NIL collective, launches totally prematurely. If you're going to do this where you want to get money from common people, there needs to be a subscription platform that people can sign up for, and you can do a $10 service just like you do for Spotify when you sign up for that. Well, I'm sure we all have Spotify. We pay $10 a month for Spotify. I don't even know when the payment is. It just gets taken out. That's the whole idea of a subscription service. If you're doing the NIL thing and you need money and you're this desperate, you need money from common people. You need to make a subscription service and say, listen, give us $10. You can get some exclusive interviews with a player or like exclusive content, whatever. You have to incentivize it and give people something and do it that way. But in reality, the big issue, this is a bigger problem for Ohio State. You're not going to raise $20 million through the fan base. It's just not going to happen. You need to go to your big boosters and say, listen, we need money. And if they don't want to donate to you, donate the money for the NIL and for these kids, because at this point, this is an outcry by Ohio State. It's very clear they're losing multiple high 4-stars, 5-star kids because they don't have money, which is crazy to me. But that is the situation. And then this is more stuff right here. Rueben Owens, the number 1 overall running back. I'll give you guys a 2 or 3 sentence summary on Rueben Owens' recruitment. So Rueben Owens, who has been the number 1 overall running back for a while now, or at least top 2, top 3, he's been a 5-star forever. He commits to Louisville in the summer because they gave him an NIL deal. There's no football decision there. It's all money. They gave him a good deal. He committed. Texas A&M comes to him, I would assume probably a week ago or so, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it is. They say, listen, Louisville gave you X. We're going to give you Y. We're going to give you 25% more, 30% more. Rueben Owens decommits from Louisville. On the same night, he commits to Texas A&M. So this is all NIL. These kids are not making their decisions, some of them at least, at all in terms of development. It's all just who's going to pay me the most. If you pay me the most, I'll leave. And it is a sad, sad story. And certainly this kid can do it. Go make the money. That's fine. We all believe in capitalism. We believe if someone's willing to pay, if a booster's willing to pay $6 million or whatever it is for you, that's the marketplace, right? So, but there also is the issue with these really young kids making decisions sorely based off of money and really not setting themselves up for the future. You can see this. Ohio State's been in on this 5-star edge rusher, Damon Wilson, and Georgia with their NIL collective, they've been able to lure him away, unfortunately. So Ohio State misses out on all of their 5-star pass rushers, it's looking like, and that has forced Gene Smith to beg the fan base for money. And then we've got this, a 5-star receiver who's currently committed to Oregon, picks 3 schools for cards on NIL Marketplace, will profit when he decides. So apparently, how player card process will work when the player eventually signs and enrolls at a school. Fans of that school will receive a collectible version of the card for possible future sales. Fans of schools who lost out can receive 85% of their money back, and the player gets 85% of the sales of the card to the fan base. A total Ponzi scheme. This has gone so bad. It's gone so off the rails, guys. I mean, what is this crap? But you can see the headline. He is deciding between Tennessee, Penn State, and Oregon, and he will collect 85% of wherever he goes. Guys, I don't know. So now we've got the NFT crap, and I love cryptocurrency. I don't like NFTs, though. I do not like NFTs. I don't have anything against NFTs. I just don't see their use. You've got this kid saying, listen, I'm putting these 3 cards out, and it's a Penn State card, it's a Oregon card, it's whatever, and fans invest in the cards, and whichever team he decides on, the fan base gets to keep the card, and he gets 85% of the money that was invested into the card. It is unbelievable. So guys, right now, NIL is a total mess. The NCAA saw what happened last year, and guys, if you look back, I said it over and over again, someone needs a bowl ban, someone needs punishment so this stops happening, but it only gets worse, and they're only going to double down on it. And I have seen a narrative where people say, oh, the NIL, look at Texas A&M, they're a dumpster fire, Miami's a dumpster fire. It's clear that buying recruits doesn't work. I actually don't think that's fair to those schools. You can't just say during these kids' true freshman years, because they had bad seasons, it doesn't work. You've got to give these kids 2 or 3 years in the program, and we'll see. My expectation, unfortunately for a lot of people, is that Texas A&M is going to be a lot better next year. With most of these kids being sophomores, some of them are going to transfer out, but they're retaining most of their talent if you actually look at it. So we will see. I think it's a little premature to say that buying classes doesn't work. I think Texas A&M, because of the talent that they have, is going to be better next year. Now, we can argue if you straight up buy your classes or buy your recruiting classes, how bad of an environment does that create in the locker room? That's where I think it gets real tough. So guys, we've got a new conference possibly forming at the FBS level, and we have an NIL utter mess on our hands as we approach the first National Signing Day here for this season. I think it comes right before Christmas, maybe like the 20th or something. That's when it was last year. And I'm sure we're just going to get stories left and right because these kids are straight up being bought. It's not every one of them, but I would say one out of every 2 5-star is their decisions are being heavily influenced by NIL money. I would say about 50% of the 5-stars, that is the case. And it's not to criticize the kids because they're so young, they're so ignorant, they don't really know, they just want money, and it makes sense. I understand you get offered $1 million, $2 million at that age. It is tough, but once you gain the life perspective and you see what these kids are doing and how tragic it can be, it's just not the correct way to run any type of entity where there are no rules, or I guess there are rules, but you can cheat. Again, it's like going 90 miles per hour in a 50 mile per hour speed limit. If a cop doesn't see you, it's not cheating. So, or if they don't enforce it, it's not cheating. So this is why this whole system is so broken, because there's no one to enforce any of it. And there's no one that any of these boosters, any of these powerful schools that are doing this, none of them are scared because they're all doing it. What are you going to bull ban all of us? Now they have the strength in numbers. Now is when it gets scary, guys. So we will see what happens, but that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.